Okay, so let's see psychosexual stages proposed by Sigmund Freud. As you know, it is he divided the whole lifespan into 5 stages. Um, so, as a future counselors, we need to know about this. See, whenever, as I mentioned earlier, whenever we um, learn theories, um, it is not about whether I'm going to agree with it or disagree with it, or whether I'm going to take it into my practice or not. But it is important that we need to know, um, we need to understand their lens, the perspective from where they are coming from, and what is that they are, adding on to the broader set of broader concept of psychology therapy. This is very, very important for us to know how Sigmund Freud looked at the whole, lifespan. Um, it's a kind of an developmental theory that you offered, and it is one of the earliest and the foundational map for understanding how our early bodily and relational experiences shape our personality, defense mechanism, and emotional patterns. Uh, See, as I told you earlier, as counselors, you will often work with clients whose current emotional struggles are not, just based on the situation, the current situation, or, the marriage, or the problem, or the route that clients are saying. Okay, always, or, most of the time, the route is their struggle, their emotional struggle is rooted, struggles are rooted not just in the present, mostly it is in the past. It lies in the past, and that it's very deep, and it involves earlier dynamics formed in the childhood. So that's the reason we need to understand psychoanalysis helps us to have that understanding, perspective, and conceptualization. Okay, of course, you don't have to, uh, agree on with all of his uh, proposed theories, but of course, you need to have a broader idea of what he's trying to say. Okay, so again, while some aspects of Freud's theory are debated even today, okay, but the core idea remains profoundly relevant even today, because the unresolved developmental conflicts in early life can leave residue that affects adult functioning. See, this is what is the core idea of Sigmund Freud, which on which basis he has divided the lifespan into 5 stages. Okay, so let's walk through it. First stage is oral stage, as you see in the screen. Oral stage, 0 to 1 year. So usually the comfort zone or the ergonomist zone that we say for this stage is mouth. And the key needs, what are the needs of the child at this age? See, when we say needs, these are, mandatory, or, mm, needed. It's a need. It's just not a want. It's a need of the child to flourish emotionally, relationally, and socially. Okay, so for a psychological development, there are certain nutrients that is required for each age group. So when we say needs of oral stage, it's a need, it's a nutrient, which if not provided, it will lead to malnourishment, or deficiency. Exactly as our food works for our physiological development, so are the emotions, attachment needs, and other needs. Okay, so you have to get the importance of it. So, and the needs of this oral stage is, general need is feeding, um, sucking, and being held by the attachment figures. Psychological needs include trust, dependency, and attachment. See, you may wonder why my child is not making friends at the age of 16, but actually the root lies in 0 to 1 year. The trust. The child develops trust at 0 to 1 year. So the attachment, whenever the attachment is given to the child builds trust. Okay. So if a baby needs a baby's need for nurturing and feeding is either unmet, either neglected or overindulged. See, both are not healthy. Okay, is either unmet, that is neglect, or overprotected, which also called overindulged. The child may develop oral fixation. As adults, this might show up as emotional dependency, clinginess, overeating, some with smoking, difficulty tolerating frustration. So these are all oral fixations. If a child is not fixated well at the age of 0 to 1 years, 1 year, then the child will have these symptoms. So as counselors, when we encounter clients who struggle with, dependency issues, attachment issues, abandonment anxiety, or, use of oral behaviors like binge eating, to seat themselves, or smoking, or, something around, um, eating, or, drinking, or things like that, we might consider oral stage dynamics were unresolved. Okay, so moving to next stage, anal stage, that is 1 to 3 years, the ergonomous zone, or the comfort zone is anus. So why they say that is because this is the age when the child gets toilet trained. In the sense, to be very precise, this is the age when the child gets sphincter control, both for, urination and for uh, excretion. Okay, so both the sphincter, anal sphincter and urethral sphincter develops at this age. The control, sphincter control develops at this age. So this is the age we usually toilet train the kids. So the focus at this age is anus. So the key needs, if you see, it is autonomy, control, mastery, in the sense, the child develops autonomy. The child develops to be, autonomous, wants to make some decisions. Because, as the child gets the sphincter control, now the child is free. Um, it has some control in the area of, where the child can go, because when the child is not having sphincter control, or anal sphincter control, it's the child is very much dependent on, the caregivers. But now that the child gets the control, sphincter control, it's a lot more kind of, the autonomy is restored kind of thing. The child gets autonomy, control, and mastery is what the child feels. And the psychological theme of this age is, power, control, self discipline. So, if the way caregivers handle toilet training can shape, the child's relationship with control, order. Okay, if someone is ordering things, a kind of a boss, or, the authority figure, the child will have unhealthy relationship with the authority figure. And this is the age shame is inculcated. So, shaming while toilet training can lead to what Freud calls as anal retentive personality. In the sense, they become more controlling, perfectionist, or otherwise it goes on to other end. If there is a, laxity in toilet training, then they become, that personality is called anal expulsive trait, where there is always messiness, rebellion, chaos. So when you meet clients who struggle with control, or, some obsessive patterns or rebellious patterns against authority or perfectionism, explore, the battle that they fought while they've been toilet trained. So the early autonomy battle may yield insight for these kind of, manifestations or presenting symptoms. Okay, so the third stage is phallic stage, that is 3 to 6 years. The zone is genitals. Here, what Freud says is the gender identity. The child gets to know, okay, there is an opposite gender. That kind of understanding comes to the child. And um, what else? There will be attention for, opposite sex or gender. Um, the kind of they're curious. And to be very, and to put it in a, understanding word, they become curious about opposite gender. Okay, and psychological theme is identity, rivalry, self-worth. So those are all, start to develop at this age. So in this stage where Freud, and this is the stage where Freud introduces the Oedipus complex for boys and Electra complex for girls, as they said the child unconsciously desires the opposite sex parents and feels rivalry with the same sex parent. So I don't know. These are all being debated, but he brought in a perspective. Okay, say it as a theorist perspective. Okay, so these are two important complex that he said. Like, usually we say, right, father, girl child, or more attracted to father, boys are attracted to mom. So for that, he gives such kind of an explanation, and he says that happens between the age of 3 to 6 years. So, so if this is not held properly, or if this the fixation happens at this stage, then the client may present it as gender identity disorder or boundary. There is no clear boundaries. They fight self-esteem. Okay, and also they may have kind of identity confusion is a common thing. So most psychoanalysts, if they ask homosexuality, gender identity disorder, all those things, they go back and search with the phallic stage. How the attachment with the same-sex parent, that is mom for girl, how was the attention with the mom, and for boys they explore the attention with dad. Right? Okay, so this is how the psychoanalyst will take the whole therapeutic process. So that is stage 3. So latency stage is stage 4, which is between 6 to 12. This is kind of a dormant stage. There is no exact zone which we focus. This is all about socializing, learning, same-sex friends. Boys will find, they'll be more into sports, active external activities, extracurricular activities. They'll have friends and all those things. Skill development is happens, and moral learning, all those things will happen. So here the energy is focused away from the body to the external works. But if it is unresolved, if the earlier stages are unresolved, see, usually when it comes to stages, if the earlier stage is not resolved, then it will end up hurting the next stage. Though the child grows chronologically, but still the child will face what we call fixation in the following stages as well. Okay, so if there is earlier stages are unresolved, then the child may struggle to engage in meaningful conversations with friends. Okay, so the child may also have, will have hesitancy in making friends, and they show sign of, uh, regrets, and it'll be highly stressed. Okay, so as therapist, we may notice arrested development. That is what is the exact word that we can say for this stage. See, if the child uh, is arrested in the development of skills, okay, or learning, or socializing, if you feel like the child is not behaving for the age, then we have to check back to the age between 6 to 12 years. And definitely if there is any fixation at this age, you have to shift back to the the earlier stages. Okay, so the latency stage is all about skill development, socializing, friend making. And if you feel there is an arrested development in those areas, then latency stage, the age group, you may have to revisit 6 to 12 years for some deeper history, understand how the friendship making were, like whether parents controlling and all those things. Okay, so the last stage is the genital stage, and Freud says it is any after 12 plus, any age after 12 as a genital, because he says it is about intimacy, um, integration of earlier stages is what he says for any age after 12. So the psychological theme here is relationship making, creativity, emotional maturity, So this stage, though he focuses on sexual instincts and all those things, he was very clear in saying this stage is not just about sexuality, but about forming healthy, emotionally connected relationships and also contributing meaningfully to the world. So he was very clear in his thought, but but his process looked different. Okay, so the success here in this stage depends on how well earlier stages are resolved. So when people come to this age, they'll fight their struggles, and in their struggle, they tend to resolve their earlier stages, is what his a proposal. That was his theory. So when we have clients with relationship issues, intimacy problem, or repeated emotional entanglement, it can often point back to earlier unmet needs like oral, anal, phallic, or latency period unmet needs. You don't have to work exactly at this age. That's what, for genital 12, after 12, if anybody comes to you as a as a client, you don't have, you may have to listen to the current story, but the solution always lies before that, before age 11 or 12. So it is good to have a clear understanding of what has happened in the childhood, so that you can resolve the issue that they are presenting right now, especially when it is relational issues. Okay, so the Freud's framework is not a diagnostic tool as such, but it is a lens through which you can see. Okay, so you don't have to actually label people based on these stages, like you got fixated in anal retentive personality. No, you don't label them like that. This is just for our understanding and for the case conceptualization. This will help us as therapists, okay, to explore the unconscious pattern, the attachment wounds, and the early emotional blueprints, so that we can help them resolve their current struggles, emotional struggles. Okay, so this is kind of a caution that I want to tell you. Don't use it as a diagnostic tool, or don't entitle people based on this. Okay, this is just for our understanding as therapists, to look to have a clarity in case conceptualization and the therapeutic process. Okay, so yeah, so this is about the psychosexual stages of Freud.